The dusty, golden light of the setting sun streamed through the window, painting stripes across the rickety porch swing. 8-year-old Leo sat there, chin resting on his knees, kicking his feet listlessly against the wooden planks. He felt small, alone, and adrift in a world that seemed too big and loud. Just then, a soft, wet nudge knocked his hand off his knee. Looking down, he saw a pair of soulful brown eyes gazing up at him. The scruffy pup was a patchwork of brown and white, with mud caking his paws and a hopeful look plastered on his furry face. Leo had seen him around the village before, a stray always on the lookout for a scrap and a scratch behind the ears. Today, the pup seemed to have decided Leo was his best bet. Hesitantly, Leo reached out and scratched the pup's head. The tail thumped against the porch, sending a flurry of dust dancing in the air. A smile, tentative at first, bloomed on Leo's face. He named the pup Scout, and in that moment, their friendship was born. Days turned into weeks, and their bond grew deeper. Scout became Leo's shadow, accompanying him everywhere, from scavenging for mangoes in the orchard to exploring the hidden creek at the edge of the village. They chased butterflies across meadows, wrestled playfully in the fields, and shared quiet moments under the starlit sky. Scout listened patiently to Leo's dreams and fears, his wet nose nudging away tears during moments of loneliness. One day, while playing by the creek, Leo slipped and fell, scraping his knee and twisting his ankle. The pain was sharp, and fear choked his throat. But a warm, wet tongue bathed his wound, and strong paws nudged him gently towards home. Scout barked incessantly, alerting Leo's parents, who rushed him to the doctor. As Leo recovered, nestled under a pile of blankets with Scout by his side, he realized how much his furry friend meant to him. Scout wasn't just a companion, he was a protector, a confidant, a source of unconditional love. They had become inseparable, two souls woven together by shared adventures and unwavering loyalty. Years passed, and Leo grew taller, his voice deeper. Scout, his fur now streaked with gray, remained faithfully by his side. Together, they faced life's joys and sorrows, their bond an anchor in the ever-changing world. Their friendship, born on a dusty porch swing, was a testament to the power of connection, loyalty, and the love that blossoms between a boy and his dog. Once upon a time, in a kingdom kissed by golden sunlight, lived a princess named Anya. Unlike most princesses, Anya wasn't fond of grand balls and sparkling tiaras. Her heart beat to the rhythm of adventure, her eyes danced with the thrill of discovery every morning, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. Anya would slip out of the castle, her trusty knapsack on her back and a mischievous glint in her eyes. The vast forest surrounding the kingdom was her playground, a whispering world of ancient trees and curious creatures. She befriended shy rabbits, climbed towering oaks, and learned the secrets of the babbling brooks. One day, deep within the emerald embrace of the forest, Anya stumbled upon a sight that filled her with wonder. Nestled amongst ferns and wildflowers was a tiny, shimmering portal, swirling with vibrant colors. Curiosity tugging at her heart, Anya stepped through the portal, and in an instant, the world around her transformed. She found herself in a land unlike any she had ever seen. Towering mushrooms, taller than even the castle, dotted the landscape. Gigantic butterflies, their wings shimmering like stained glass, fluttered through the air, and in the distance, a magnificent castle carved from moonstone gleamed under a double moon. Anya, filled with excitement, set off to explore this fantastical land. She befriended a chatty squirrel with a bushy tail who served as her guide, met a grumpy gnome who guarded a bridge made of rainbows, and even shared a picnic of moonbeams with a family of playful pixies. But as the days turned into weeks, Anya started to miss her home. She missed her loving parents, the cozy castle library, and the familiar laughter of the kitchen maids. The Moonstone Castle, once so enchanting, now felt alien. With a heavy heart, Anya bid farewell to her newfound friends and stepped back through the shimmering portal. The familiar scent of pine trees and chirping of birds greeted her, and a wave of relief washed over her. She was home. Back in the castle, Anya recounted her adventures with sparkling eyes. Though the king and queen were initially worried, they couldn't help but be captivated by their daughter's bravery and resilience. Anya's journey, they realized, had not just been about fun and games, but about learning and growing. From that day on, Anya continued her explorations, both within the kingdom and beyond the portal. She learned the language of the stars, helped a lost mermaid find her way back to the ocean, and even discovered a hidden orchard brimming with magical fruit. Each adventure brought her closer to understanding the world and herself. Anya's story reminds us that the greatest adventures aren't always found in faraway lands, but sometimes right outside our door. All it takes is a curious mind, a brave heart, and a willingness to step outside our comfort zone. So, the next time you feel a flicker of adventure in your heart, remember Princess Anya, and take that leap of faith. You never know what magical world awaits you just beyond the horizon. I hope this story of Princess Anya sparks the imagination of the young listeners and encourages them to embrace their own sense of adventure. In a land where clouds nibbled on mountains and rainbows grew like lollipops, lived a tiny firefly named Flick. Unlike his friends who lit up the night with vibrant flashes, Flick's light was a shy, flickering flame. He longed to join their dazzling dance across the sky, but his spark was barely a whisper. One day, a grumpy cloud named Grumbleshadow arrived, his shadow stretching across the land like a bad mood. The sun hid, flowers drooped, and the usual nighttime symphony of crickets and frogs turned into a dreary hum. Flick, despite his dim light, couldn't bear the gloom. He decided to fly towards Grumbleshadow. The others laughed. "Flick, you're just a spark. What can you do against a grumpy giant?" But Flick, with a determined chirp, flew on. As he neared Grumbleshadow, he noticed something peculiar, a tiny tear rolling down the cloud's cheek. Flick landed gently and asked, "Why are you crying, Grumbleshadow?" Grumbleshadow rumbled, "My rain is all gone, and I can't cry anymore. The sun is afraid of me, and without rain, the land will wither." Flick felt a warmth spread through his tiny body. He knew what he had to do. He gathered all his courage and flew towards the sun, his faint glow barely visible. The sun peeked through a cloud, surprised to see the little firefly. "Please, Mr. Sun," Flick pleaded. "Grumbleshadow just needs a little rain to make the land happy again." The sun, touched by Flick's bravery, smiled. A ray of sunshine tickled Grumbleshadow, who let out a surprised giggle. Then, a gentle rain began to fall, nourishing the land and washing away the grumpiness. As the rain turned into a sparkling rainbow, Flick's light, though still faint, danced with his friends, brighter than ever. He learned that even the smallest spark can bring light to the darkest corners, and sometimes, all it takes is a little courage and a lot of kindness. From that day on, Flick became known as the bravest little firefly, his light a symbol of hope and friendship, reminding everyone that even the dimmest spark can make a difference. So, remember, dear kids, even if your light feels small, it has the power to shine brightly, just like Flick. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled amongst rolling hills, lived a poor young boy named Jack. He lived with his widowed mother, struggling to make ends meet. Their only possession was a beloved cow, Clover, who provided them with milk and cheese. One day, a terrible famine swept through the land, leaving Jack and his mother with barely enough food to survive. With a heavy heart, Jack knew he had to sell Clover to buy food. He took Clover to the market, his head hung low with sadness. In the bustling marketplace, Jack encountered a peculiar old man, his eyes twinkling with mischief. The old man offered Jack 5 magic beans in exchange for Clover. Jack, hesitant but desperate, agreed to the trade. Returning home, empty-handed except for the strange beans, Jack faced his mother's disappointment. Furious at the trade, she threw the beans out the window in frustration. That night, a peculiar thing happened. A giant beanstalk sprouted from the spot where the beans had landed, growing taller and taller, until it reached the clouds. Curiosity overcoming his fear, Jack decided to climb the beanstalk and see what lay above. He climbed for hours, the clouds brushing past him like soft cotton. Finally, he reached the top and found himself in a magnificent sky castle made of golden bricks. Peeking inside, Jack discovered the castle belonged to a grumpy giant who possessed a magical golden harp that played the most beautiful music on its own. Overcome by temptation, Jack snuck into the castle and stole the harp. As he descended the beanstalk, the giant awoke, alerted by the missing harp. He roared in fury and chased Jack down the beanstalk. Just as the giant reached the bottom, Jack, with his mother's help, grabbed an axe and chopped down the beanstalk. The giant tumbled down with a crash, never to be seen again. Jack and his mother, now safe and wealthy thanks to the golden harp, used their newfound fortune to help others in need. They lived happily ever after, always remembering the valuable lesson about not giving in to temptation and the importance of helping others. This is a classic version of the Jack and the Beanstalk story. There are many variations and interpretations, some focusing more on the moral lessons, while others emphasize the fantastical elements and the thrill of adventure. Once upon a time, in a bustling market square, lived a tiny mouse named Pip. Pip wasn't your average mouse. He wasn't interested in cheese or hiding in walls. Pip loved to cook. He spent his days rummaging through discarded vegetables, collecting spices that fell from careless stalls, and dreaming of creating culinary masterpieces. One day, a grand cooking competition was announced in the square. The prize, a golden pot and a lifetime supply of the finest cheese. Pip yearned to join, but he was just a small mouse. How could he compete with the experienced chefs using fancy equipment? Feeling discouraged, Pip stumbled upon a curious sight, a discarded shoebox overflowing with colorful buttons. An idea sparked in his tiny brain. He spent days tirelessly stringing the buttons together, creating a miniature chef's hat and apron. He even fashioned a tiny whisk from a fallen feather and a pot from an acorn shell. The day of the competition arrived, and the square buzzed with activity. Giant chefs with towering hats stirred bubbling cauldrons, their faces creased with concentration. Pip, dwarfed by the grand displays, nervously approached the judges, his miniature tools clutched in his tiny paws. The judges, a seasoned chef and a wise old woman, chuckled at Pip's audacity. But Pip, emboldened by his passion, explained his dream and presented his creation, a tiny, but perfectly presented, dish of dandelion soup with a sprinkle of clover flowers. The judges, intrigued by his unique approach and the aroma of the soup, took a hesitant bite. Their eyes widened in surprise. The soup was delicious, bursting with fresh flavors and perfectly seasoned. Pip, the tiny mouse with a big dream, had won. The crowd erupted in cheers, impressed by his talent and determination. Pip used his prize to open a miniature restaurant, serving his unique dishes to everyone, regardless of size or species. From then on, Pip became a beloved figure in the market square. He proved that size doesn't matter when you have passion, resourcefulness, and a delicious dish to share. And Sir, the tiny mouse with a big dream became the most famous chef in the entire town. His story a reminder that anyone can achieve great things with a little bit of creativity and a lot of heart.